And Elizabeth, you're going to expand on some of these ideas with relation to harm reduction and potentiation.
Yes, thank you, Charles. So this is the portion of the discussion where we talk about, if you've decided to take this on, what it seems to us you need to do to keep yourself safe, okay? Clearly, by our presentation tonight, we believe that having a sitter or a guide present is a way for you to keep yourself psychologically and physically safe. Let's talk next about what we mean by the mindset of this set and setting phrase that we might be introduced to in the conversation. So, first of all, let's think about consent. By this, I see that there's evidence that people have done their deep homework, that they understand what it is that they might be partaking, whether it's the substance or the experience they might have, or who should not have these sorts of experiences. And in our conception, a good guide is going to be someone who can help you along that process of informed consent, right? I also see consent as knowing what your rights are and being informed as to what we mean by cognitive liberty, okay? One of the resources I did not get to add to our list, but I encourage you to check up, is cognitive-liberty.org. A second factor we might talk about in terms of our mindset would be that we have courage. This is a practice of reflection, of looking within, and it is best that you understand that you are undertaking something. You are potentially going to access what it is that you don't know. So be ready to be surprised. I like two sets of mantras referring back to Jane and self-care with a trauma history. Good medicine for any of us is to have a mantra, and one of from our tradition used in the 50s and 60s when this was our best hope for psychiatric medicine was the mantra of breathe, relax, and let go. A more modern version might be surrender, accept, and appreciate. So these are the attitudes that we would encourage people to embody in terms of having the appropriate set to have a psychedelic experience. And then I add to that people might occur as being highly determined, if not called, if that's not too woo of a word, that people feel called to have this experience and that they come to this of their own free will and volition. I think it's also very important in terms of keeping yourself safe if you're going to have this experience if you're working with a sitter or a guide, to be ready to fully commit to accepting any guidance they feel they need to give you, right? And we can say this while we're here in consensus reality, and things can be a little different in that psychedelic space. But being able to fully commit from consensus reality, I'm sober, I'm going to accept any guidance that my sitter or guide gives me. You should know what the rule outs are. Certain people who should not, as we understand it, have this experience. It's likely to endanger your psychiatric well-being, and that would be a personal or family history of psychosis, psychotic disorders, or a personal history of bipolar disorder. I could say more about that, but I hope this is an invitation to all of you for where you might go do your homework, okay? You might also consider having what we call a parachute, meaning something that you could take in the class of benzodiazepines, that's Xanax, Valium, Ativan, those sorts of things, if it's safe for you to do so, if you have a personal prescription. Just to know that you have that as a way to step out of the experience, while understanding that a guide is likely to offer to you or invite to you that you stay with anything challenging that comes up, that they are there with you to help you, as Jane said, create a breakthrough and not a breakdown. It's also wise that you know the risks of this thing we call HPPD, see if I can say it correctly, hallucination, persisting, perception disorder. Thank you.
You haven't been able to say that for weeks.
Slowly. In a web search of 2,600 people, roughly 4% of people reported something in the realm of this experience, if only temporarily. And it's basically you kind of feel trippy after the drug has come out of your body. You might, tracers is what they used to call it in the 60s, okay? In a medical study that my business manager cited, the rate was actually 0.66%. But I want people to know this is a rare occurrence, what it could entail, and know the risk that you're taking them before you take them. Other ways to keep yourself safe, of course, are to attend to what it might be to prepare for all of this, all these things that I'm outlining. To attend also to setting, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in our conversation about what potentiates or empowers a psychedelic experience, and then also a plan for integration. I'd also like to call us up on the resource list that we have of these websites, but where you can do
Portland Psychedelic Society and Oregon Psilocybin Society are proud to announce Paul Stamets speaking at the Newmark Theater in Portland, Oregon, September 20th. Tickets go on sale July 24th.